Okay, welcome back to the Morning Brew. A good friend is joining us here at the table. I always like having that because the show is about friends and coffee and good times, right?
Truly, yeah.
And we'll talk about this a little bit. I've had the really wonderful privilege of being able to work closely with this gentleman. If you haven't ever met Slim Randles, he's sitting right next to you there, Steve.
That's why I'm happy right now. So.
Syndicated columnist. His column is read by over 4 million readers around the world in 44 states and 3 countries. Author of 12 books. I'm going to just keep going talking about how wonderful you are. Is that right?
Please, yes. Lay it on thick.
12 books, winner of the 2012 Rounders Award.
Yeah.
He's had great experiences in Alaska, guiding hunters, and he's been a cowboy and a mule packer and all kinds of stuff. So, Slim, good to see you.
Good to be here.
You just went hunting, didn't you?
I just went hunting, and I missed a shot. But my buddy missed 2 shots, so I figure I'm twice a hunter he is.
Where were you?
In northwest Missouri.
Wow.
Near St. Joe.
Yeah.
And cold. Oh my gosh, it was cold. A couple of days ago, chill factor 22 below.
Oh my gosh. And you weren't spending the night outside, were you?
No. Oh no.
Good. Good. Reminded you of Alaska, didn't it?
Yeah, it was colder than Alaska, and the guy I was hunting with was also a hunting guide in Alaska. That's where we met 40 years ago.
And he was cold.
And he was cold, yeah. One of the interesting things I discovered, I drove the Iditarod race in 1973, and I discovered that when it's 40 below, Eskimos get cold. You know, you've always wondered about, well, gee, I wonder if they get cold. They get cold. They get cold.
I'm learning so much today.
One of the reasons we invited Slim to the show today, Slim and I have been working in the audio studio on podcasts, and so we've done a whole bunch of shows, and now we've started a new prototype show with some original New Mexico music, and we're going to debut all of this beginning of the year, and it's going to be fabulous.
Yeah. Can I say something
Sure,
about that music
sure.
show, Larry? We're featuring just New Mexico musicians. So if you have some music and you have a little group or you sing by yourself and you'd like to be considered for this, we'd sure love to hear from you. And my email address is homecountryhour@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you.
We've done 2 shows in the can, and they're wonderful, and we're going to roll all this out beginning of the year, and you're going to really enjoy it. So one of the things that Slim did, one of the reasons I invited him to the show today, I'm sitting in the studio, and he's doing this absolutely gorgeous essay about the fall season. And I said, Slim, you have to come on the TV show and do this. Now, you wrote this
Awesome.
a while ago?
This was a newspaper column.
Was it?
Yeah, this was one of my home country columns, and yeah, I'm happy to do it.
I want Slim to read this. Just kind of settle in and listen as you're going to hear about the fall season and what it really means.
Great.
My favorite time of year. This is the polished time, the pinnacle of life. This is fall, when everything puts on its best for the world to see, and that makes it special. The sultry heat of summer has passed, and in its place we have cool mornings when the tiny snap of winter's promise briefly touches our skin. There is a magic quality of light and feel in the air, and those of us who enjoy the outdoors know it's time to go to camp. In our genes, we know it's time to go to camp. It's time to be in the woods with rod and bow and gun and rediscover ourselves. In town, it's time for the kids to be back in school, giving their mothers time to think about themselves for a while. The antlers of the deer have now been polished to a bone white at the tips and a rugged brown elsewhere. They are prime, as is their owner. It is fall. It is the polished time. The trees, as the sap shuts down in the leaves, share their gold and reds with us and make commonplace scenes only a few weeks ago into magical tapestries of nature. It is the time of finding a mate, of fighting for territory, of defining our lives. It's fall, and we know we must polish ourselves a little bit right now in order to fit in. We have to assess ourselves and ask what we can do to make our lives a little shinier, our hopes a little stronger, our promises to others more defined, more definite. It is the time to let the fresh, cool air fill our lungs and let us remember other falls, other campfires, other friends, younger friends as we were younger. And as the golden leaves fall in the late autumn breezes, it will be time once again to cherish our mates and seek refuge from the winter wind.
That's lovely.
Isn't that beautiful?
Thank you. That's
No,
very kind.
thank you.
That
Wow.
is, when he read that on one of the shows, I went, oh my goodness, that is so poetic.
I can only imagine, yeah. And the visual we had going with that
Yeah,
was
beautiful,
really beautiful.
you
So, wow, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about your books and some of the writing that you do. How did you get, you started as a newspaper guy, right?
That's right.
And you still are a newspaper guy.
I still, you know, progress is wonderful. I started when I was 15 years old writing a weekly column, and now I'm 72 and I'm writing a weekly column. Isn't progress wonderful?
It's another overnight success.
I have more readers now than I did then.
Wow.
But yes, I wrote a column called Shootin' the Bull, which was about rodeo hands in the local paper in Southern California where I live. And so after 50 years, why, I just have more readers now. So
Do you hear from readers?
I do hear from readers, and the home country column is fiction. It's I have this imaginary valley and these characters in it,
Right.
but we all know people like that, and they do weird things. Well, every once in a while, I'll write a column that strikes a chord with some people, and I get letters pouring in. I wrote about Delbert Chin's Chinese restaurant and how clean it was and everything. I heard from all over the United States wanting to know where this restaurant was in Nashville or Bemidji, Minnesota, you know, because they wanted to go. And I, you know, had to write and say, well, you know, I kind of made that up. But, so that's kind of fun. I just had one the other day. I wrote about this this guy who, for trick-or-treating, he loves to have a terrifying yard and see which of the little kids are brave enough to make it to the porch. I heard from all these guys saying, hey, I want to take my kids over to this guy's house.
Everybody thinks it's in their town.
Yeah, yeah, they think it's in their town, and that's awfully nice because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Kind of a celebration of small town America, and it's what I like. Maybe not reflecting reality as much as the way it should be.
You recently, and you've got some of
Yes,
your books
I
here.
have some of my books here, he said shamelessly.
Well,
A
you have
Cowboy's Guide to Growing Up Right, which is advice for young people, and make a great stocking stuffer here, gang.
You've sold a lot of those.
I
haven't
sold a lot of these,
Yeah,
and it's won a number of awards.
yeah.
This is our latest, Max Evans and a few friends. Max turned 90. He's a wonderful writer. If you're not familiar with Max Evans, you know, he wrote the High-Low Country and the Rounders and Blue Feather Fellini.
Yeah.
And he's my mentor and good friend. And I'm also his biographer. I wrote his life story. Took me 3 years, and it was worth it.
Had to be.
Yeah. And I knew when I first met him some 30 years ago and listened to some of his stories, I thought the hardest job in the world would be to write a boring biography of this guy. And I didn't write a boring biography of this guy.
Because
All
he's
you
not
have
boring,
to
yeah.
know, you can't, I'm not good enough to make him boring. Now, stocking stuffer, we have another one. This is a new book, Saddle Up, A Cowboy Guide to Writing. And basically, this is advice for people who want to be a successful writer. It's how to eliminate rejection slips. And I wish I'd had this book when I was 20 years old, because I did everything the hard way. And but after having been editor of a national magazine and having written for lots of them, you learn a lot of things. And so the bottom line is, if you get an editor what he or she wants, you get checks in the mail.
Which is nice.
Very nice.
And then there's the Home Country book. That's a collection of your columns?
This is a collection of the Home Country. The book is a collection of my newspaper columns, the best of the first 6 years in here.
You do, in Home Country, you do go to this wonderful small place where life really is very traditional, and the values are good, and
Yeah.
and the people are friendly, and it's
America.
yeah, it's America.
It's
it really
America.
is. Wow. So
Yeah.
Where can people find these books?
In bookstores everywhere.
Really?
Yes, or they can contact the publisher, which is lpdpress.com, Rio Grande Books.
Yep.
And
Great.
So
And we've been in the studio a lot, Stephen. We have a whole bunch of shows, and we're going to package them up and release them beginning of the year.
You have to let me know when that's happening.
Yeah, it's,
it's
please.
I got to tell you, it's a real honor to be able to work with Larry.
yeah, we have a great time in there.
Yeah, we do. We
We've
have
got a lot of
fun.
shows ready to unleash on the unwary public. So
Brace yourselves.
Brace yourself.
We have your email address and a
Yeah.
few other addresses to put up on the screen for
So
people
let's
to
do
see.
that.
There you go.
There you
And
go.
that's the one, please, if you're a musician and want to be considered to have your music on
Yeah.
the program,
It's going to be a great show.
there's no charge and it can't hurt.
That's right. So it's great to see you. Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Oh,
Wow.
all the best.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Slim Randles, everybody.
awesome.
He's a treasure. And thank you for that beautiful essay about
Yeah.
We'll be back in a moment. We'll talk some turkey, and then later in the show, some Forbidden Broadway. After this.